Half of Kyiv is in the dark this morning after Russian strikes knocked power out in much of the country. Bad weather now slowing down repair crews who are racing to restore that power as Ukrainians are now being told to prepare for more blackouts. That means there could be more remarkable scenes like this one. Doctors in Kyiv performing heart surgery basically by flashlight because their hospital had no lights. CNN's Claire Sebastian joins us now. Claire, these images coming out of what life is like for these Ukrainians now as they are dealing with what Russia is doing, what is basically this terror campaign, as you've heard the NATO Secretary General describe it as, they're just remarkable.
Yeah, Caitlin, extraordinary scenes. This came from the head of medical services at the Kyiv Heart Institute. This was a child undergoing emergency open heart surgery. They were only doing emergency operations at this institute, and the operation was already underway when the lights went out. But you can see from those images, the doctors kept going. They used their headlamps and they continued with the surgery. They worked through the night, according to the head of medical services, and they did not lose, he said, a single patient. Even more extraordinary is the fact that this was not an isolated incident. I think we can show you another image from another hospital in the city of Dnipro in central southern Ukraine. There, the head of that hospital said that there was an operation on a 23-year-old man. Also similar scenario, the lights went out, but he said that patient made it. But these are extreme conditions. It just shows that Russia's attacks on the power system is literally creating these life and death scenarios.
And I understand you have some new reporting on the efforts to restore power in the region. What's the latest?
Yeah, Don. So we heard from the electricity transmission operator in Ukraine this morning that they've now restored, they say, 70% of demand for electricity in the country. That's up from 50% yesterday evening. So it shows that they have been working through the night. The nuclear plants, which crucially for the first time in decades were taken offline, off the grid earlier this week by these attacks, are now back online, gradually ramping up their own electricity generation. But those efforts to restore power are being hampered by bad weather, yet another challenge they face. And I wanted to point out these satellite images that we have now. On the left, January this year. On the right, November. You can see that the lights have been taken out across the country. This underscores the challenge that Ukraine now faces. But of course, those scenes from those medical facilities show that they have no choice but to keep trying to restore electricity, even as the risk remains that it's going to get knocked out again.
Can we put those images back up that you just showed there, Claire? This is remarkable. This is what you can see from space. You can see just how bad the blackouts and how severe they are. This is just remarkable to see the side-by-side images of that, of what these Ukrainians are dealing with, what these emergency services are dealing with, and the fact that winter is setting in and they're dealing with this. It's really remarkable.
Yeah, and it's ramping up as well. You know, the attack started on sort of substations, connectors throughout the grid. Now they're attacking the sort of generation capacity itself with these nuclear plants, hydroelectric plants, and all, as you say, as winter really starts to set in. People are dealing with this on a day-to-day basis, having to sort of conserve energy, save water, all of those things. And for regular people as well, they keep doing it even when the water comes back, because of course they feel that it could disappear again at any moment.
Yeah. Claire Sebastian, thank you.
Let's start with those attacks on the energy infrastructure. I mean, speaking to some people in Ukraine, even though obviously heating in the winter is a serious issue and can be life-threatening, as we saw those doctors operating with headlamps there, it's really the attacks on the water system they fear most. Russia has mixed results at best on the battlefield, but these tactics of going at vital infrastructure has been increasingly successful, it seems.
It certainly has, and I think Russia's goal here is to inflict as much misery and pain on the Ukrainian people in terms of attacking their critical infrastructure, electricity, water, telecommunications, to basically break their will. I don't think it's going to work because the Ukrainians know that they don't have the option of surrender if they basically go into a negotiation as a result of these attacks and a handover territory in areas such as the Donbass and Zaporizhia and Kherson. Then they're abandoning their people to the brutality of the Russians, which was seen in Bucha. The Ukrainians are fighting for their survival. They can't afford to give up. So they will struggle through this winter and come out the other side and be ready to continue the fight.
Okay, so then if Russia's goals to weaken Ukrainian resolve don't seem to be working, what about Russia's energy blackmail against Europe? I mean, will that result in more pressure being brought to bear on Ukraine to negotiate?
I think that's the greater concern. Essentially, the Russians are sensing that there's vulnerabilities, there's fractures and fissures in Europe in terms of sustaining support for the Ukrainians in terms of military assistance to the Ukrainians. I think the Russians are probably also hoping that there will be a fracturing of support in the United States, with the goal, I think, trying to convince Europe and the United States to essentially talk the Ukrainians into an early negotiation and a ceasefire that would give the Russians then time to rebuild and regroup their forces, and also potentially to erode confidence essentially in Ukraine's ability to continue the fight, particularly if, as a result of that pressure, the supply of military capabilities to Ukraine drops off. So I think there has to be a strong pushback against that Russian effort to blackmail Europe and to coerce Europe into ending support for Ukraine.
Yeah, and we've already seen some weakening of support, at least here in the U.S., from certain segments of the Republican Party. So looking ahead then at the battlefield situation, often we hear that things will come to a halt during the harsh winter, but you don't seem to think so. Why not?
Look, I think, when you look at history of warfare, there's many examples of battles that continue right through the harshest of winters. One example was the Battle of the Bulge in 1944. So I think that you will see the war continue throughout this winter. The Ukrainians know that they cannot let up the pressure on the Russians. The Russians will continue to reinforce their defensive positions in Kherson and in Donbass, and both sides will be preparing themselves for a return to full intensity operations in the northern spring and the summer. So it may slow down a little bit, but I don't see it necessarily coming to a grinding halt.
All right, before we go, to keep waging that war, Russia is running out of military hardware, but getting vital equipment from Iran, and not just the drones that we've been talking so much about. What impact do you think that will have in Russia's ability to keep trying to wear Ukraine down?
Look, I think it could be decisive if the Iranians provide the Russians with more advanced strike capabilities in the form of surface-to-surface ballistic missiles, such as the Fateh 110 and the Zolkafar, that have a much greater precision and are much more difficult for the Ukrainians to intercept because of the sheer speed of the missile. Then the Russians can suddenly open up and widen their campaign against Ukrainian critical infrastructure, as well as Ukrainian military infrastructure, air bases, ports, command and control centers, that sort of thing. And so the provision of those Iranian missiles, as opposed to the drones, I think could be quite significant. So what you would then see is Ukraine quite rightly asking for greater protection from those Iranian missiles, and that could be involved, could involve the provision of more advanced ballistic missile defense capabilities from the West.
Always appreciate your analysis, Malcolm Davis. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.